Shabbat Shalom from Ramot, Yerushalayim. By all accounts, the creation endeavor, beginning with Adam HaRishon, has been an abject failure. God creates Adam with the hope of having a relationship with his first intelligent creature. He calls out to Adam and speaks to him as he spoke to no other creature, telling him all the goodness that he's provided him and hoping that there's a response. At the end, we find that Adam is not really interested in that relationship. He disobeys the only restriction that God places on him in the Garden of Eden and ultimately is banished from the garden. We see this trend continue with Cain, who, after murdering his brother, chooses to leave the presence of God and begins a new society outside of the garden further to the east, where his children and grandchildren will build kelim of weapons and art and music. And this trend continues further along as the children and grandchildren of Cain assert their authority on earth and ultimately replace God in many ways as B'nai Elohim. And God's name and voice is absent throughout the rest of the story until we get to the narrative of the flood of the Mabul, where God says he's had enough and he's determined to destroy the world and all the wickedness within. However, Noach matzah chen beinav. Hashem sees a righteous man that he can continue the world through and to create a new world with. However, it's interesting that even with Noach, although he was clearly a tzaddik, he also doesn't have a relationship with God. When we look at the story, God is the one speaking the entire time. Noach obeys, but there's no response. There's no engagement in dialogue. It's not till Avram Avinu that we find for the first time there's an actual dialogue between man and God. And this is precisely what God is looking for. In this week's Parsha, amazingly, we find that not only is Abraham engaging in conversation with God, but he actually challenges God. He has the chutzpah to approach God when God determines that he's going to destroy the cities of Sodom and Amorah, and to challenge him on that and question him on that. And the amazing thing is that God does not have any problem with that. In fact, Hashem, just prior to sending his malachim to destroy the cities of Sodom and Amorah, he says, can I keep this from Abraham? Can I keep this from the man who loves justice and righteousness so much? And he determines that he has to share what he's going to do with Abraham. Clearly, Hashem knows that Abraham is going to have an issue with this. It's almost as if Hashem invites the challenge and the confrontation. Avraham Avinu, of course, is the progenitor of what would become the Jewish people. His grandson, Yaakov Avinu, has his name changed to Yisrael. What is Yisrael? To struggle with God. And Yaakov Avinu is really a dugma for the rest of Jewish history. Jewish people, as we well know, have often struggled with God, questioned God, run away from God. And the message that we can take from Avram Avinu in this week's Parsha is that that's okay. Hashem wants us to bring up our challenges and issues with him, with the way that the world runs. The most important thing is that we engage in that dialogue and maintain that line of communication. Shabbat Shalom.